I was hunched over my desk, tweaking the bass levels on a track for a client's podcast, when I heard it. A voice, soft, familiar, like a melody I'd known for years. Lauren's voice. It was a Tuesday night, just past 9 p.m., and the house was quiet. Too quiet, maybe. Lauren had told me she'd be at the studio until late, working on a voiceover gig for some animated series. She'd been pulling long hours lately, her career as a voice actor finally taking off after years of small jobs. I was proud of her, even if it meant more nights alone in our little two-bedroom house. So when I heard her laugh, that light, airy sound that always made me smile, I figured she'd come home early. But something was off. I paused the track, the hum of my computer the only sound in the room, and listened harder. Her voice wasn't coming from the hallway or the kitchen. It was muffled, distant, like it was seeping through the walls. My gaze drifted to the wall behind my desk, the one we shared with Ryan, our neighbor. Ryan had moved in a few months back. Mid-30s, single, with a friendly smile and a knack for gardening that put our patchy lawn to shame. Lauren and I had chatted with him a few times over the fence, small talk about the weather or his latest tomato plants. Nothing more than that. At least, that's what I thought. So why was Lauren's voice coming from his house? I told myself it could be innocent. Maybe she'd stopped by to borrow something on her way home. A cup of sugar, a gardening tool, something neighborly. But then I heard her again, speaking in that low, intimate tone she used to use with me, back when we were newlyweds sharing secrets in the dark. My stomach twisted. I pushed my chair back, the legs scraping against the hardwood floor, and stood up. The house felt too still, the silence amplifying every faint sound from next door. I stepped closer to the wall and pressed my ear against the cool plaster. Her words were garbled, but the rhythm was unmistakable. She was having a conversation, and it didn't sound like a quick hello. A chill crept up my spine. I tried to brush it off, to come up with a logical explanation. Lauren was generous, always the first to help out. Maybe Ryan had asked her to stop by for something, advice on a recording, since he knew I was a sound engineer. She could have offered to lend a hand. But why hadn't she told me? And why did her voice sound so cozy? I checked my phone. No texts, no missed calls. If she was home, why hadn't she popped in to say hi? We'd been married 7 years, met through mutual friends at a music festival, bonded over our love of sound. Me, shaping it as an engineer, her, bringing it to life with her voice. Things had been routine lately, sure, but I still loved her. I thought she loved me too. The doubt clawed at me, sharp and insistent. I needed to know what was happening. I'd spent my career capturing audio, cleaning up muddy tracks, isolating voices in crowded rooms. If there was something to hear, I could find it. I grabbed my directional microphone from the shelf, a sleek little device I used for field recordings. It could pick up a whisper from 20 feet away. I plugged it into my portable recorder, slipped on my headphones, and positioned the mic against the wall. My hands fumbled as I adjusted the sensitivity, the faint hum of the equipment grounding me. Then her voice came through, clear as if she were standing right beside me. "So much fun," Lauren said, a smile threading through her words. "I didn't expect it to be like this." Ryan's voice followed, warm and easy. "Me neither. It's like we've known each other forever." My heart slammed against my ribs. What were they talking about? She laughed again. "I know, right? It's crazy how comfortable I feel with you." Comfortable? With Ryan? They barely knew each other, or so I'd thought. My palms started to sweat. "I'm glad you came over," Ryan said. "It's nice to have some company." "Me too," Lauren replied. "Work has been so stressful lately. This is a nice escape." Escape? From what? Our life? Me? I gripped the recorder tighter, my knuckles whitening. Maybe it was nothing. Maybe they were just friends, and I was jumping to conclusions. But the way she spoke, the warmth, the ease, it didn't feel like casual friendship. It felt like something more. Then I heard the words that turned my blood to ice. "I should probably head back soon," Lauren said, her tone reluctant. Nathan might wonder where I am if I'm not home when he expects. Ryan chuckled, a low, knowing sound. Does he keep tabs on you? No, not really, she said. But I don't want him to suspect anything. Suspect anything? What was there to suspect? My mind spun. Was she hiding something from me? Was there more to her and Ryan than I'd ever imagined? I yanked off the headphones, my breath coming in short, shallow bursts. Part of me wanted to march next door and bang on Ryan's door, demand answers right then and there. But that would be impulsive, reckless. I needed to think this through, to figure out what I'd really heard. Maybe I'd misunderstood. Maybe there was a perfectly reasonable explanation. But deep down, a sick feeling settled in my gut, whispering that I hadn't misunderstood at all. I sank back into my chair, staring at the wall as if it could tell me the truth. 7 years of marriage, countless nights of laughter and quiet moments, could it all be unraveling because of a voice behind the wall? I didn't know yet. But I knew one thing, I had to find out, no matter what it cost me. The days after that first recording felt like a waking nightmare. Lauren came home that night as if nothing had changed, her smile warm, her kiss soft against my cheek. She asked about my day, and I muttered something vague about work, my thoughts tangled in the echo of her voice from the recording. It was her, unmistakably, but it didn't feel like the woman I knew. I wanted to ask her right then, to demand answers, but the words stuck in my throat. What if I was wrong? What if I'd misunderstood? I needed more than a hunch. I needed proof. I've spent my career as a sound engineer chasing clarity, isolating voices, cutting through static, finding the truth in sound. If Lauren was hiding something, I could find it. I just had to be patient, precise. Even if it meant turning our home into a web of microphones. The next morning, while Lauren showered, I moved quietly through the house. I placed a small, high-sensitivity mic near the living room wall we shared with Ryan's place, tucking it behind a photo from our wedding day. The irony stung. I set up another in the hallway, hidden in the shadow of a plant. Both fed into a recorder in my office, programmed to activate only when it detected sound. I didn't want to sift through silence, I wanted the moments that mattered. Work became impossible. I tried to focus in mixing tracks, tweaking levels, but my mind kept drifting to the recorder. Every time Lauren stepped outside, I wondered if she was going next door. Every laugh at a text, every call taken in another room, tightened the knot in my chest. That evening, she grabbed her keys. Heading to the store, she said. Need anything? Just the usual, I replied, forcing a smile. The second the door closed, I raced to my office. The recorder's light blinked activity. I slipped on my headphones, my pulse hammering. Footsteps. A door, Ryan's back door, I was sure. Then her voice. Hey, you, Lauren said, bright and playful. Hey yourself, Ryan answered. I was starting to think you'd forgotten me. She laughed. As if. I just had to wait for the right moment. My fingers gripped the desk. The right moment for what? They talked about small things, Ryan's garden, Lauren's latest voiceover gig, but their ease with each other was deafening. Then Lauren's tone shifted. I've been thinking, she said, quieter now. Maybe we should be more careful. Nathan's been off lately. Like he's watching me. My breath hitched. She'd noticed. Ryan chuckled. He's probably just stressed. You said he's always lost in his work. Maybe, she said, uncertain. But I don't want to risk it. He's smarter than he lets on. Risk what? I leaned closer, straining to hear. Don't worry, Ryan said smoothly. We're just friends, right? Nothing wrong with that. A pause. Then Lauren sighed. Friends. Sure. That single word sure dripped with something unspoken. It wasn't enough to prove anything, but it was enough to fuel my paranoia. Something was wrong. I could hear it. I pulled off the headphones, my hands shaking. This wasn't proof, not yet, but it was a crack in the facade. I had to keep going. For days, I became a shadow in my own life. I added mics to the bedroom and kitchen, each one a silent witness. At night, I pored over the recordings, fragments of laughter, casual banter, hints of a history I didn't understand. A mention of last time that made my stomach lurch. The way they danced around my name, like I was a ghost they didn't want to summon. One night, I nearly broke. The recorder caught them in Ryan's backyard. "I wish things were different," Lauren whispered. "Different how?" Ryan asked. "You know how," she said. If it wasn't so complicated. A rustle, maybe a touch." "You could change that," Ryan said. "If you wanted to." She didn't reply, but the silence screamed. I ripped off the headphones, pacing my office. I wanted to confront her, to end this torture, but I stopped myself. If I acted now, she'd deny it. I needed something undeniable. So I waited, the doubt eating me alive. Sleep evaporated, food lost its taste. At work, clients noticed my distraction, but I brushed them off. How could I tell them my marriage was unraveling, one recorded whisper at a time? Then, on a rainy Thursday night, it happened. Lauren said she was going to bed early, claiming a headache. I kissed her forehead and told her to rest. But as she climbed the stairs, I checked the recorder. The light blinked. This time, the sound wasn't from next door. It was from our bedroom. She was on the phone. "I miss you," she said, her voice hushed. "I wish I could be there with you right now." My blood turned to ice. She was talking to him while I sat downstairs. "I miss you too," Ryan replied. "When can I see you again?" "Tomorrow," she said. "Nathan's got a meeting." "I'll come over then." "Good. I'll make sure the place is ready." "Ready for what?" My mind spun. Then Lauren's voice dropped. "I think I'm falling for you, Ryan. I don't know what to do." The world stopped. She wasn't just cheating, she was in love with him. Ryan's reply was soft. "I feel the same way, Lauren. We'll figure it out. Together." The call ended. I stared at the recorder, my hands trembling. This was it, the truth, raw and unfiltered. But now that I had it, I didn't know what to do. Confront her? Walk away? Anger and grief collided inside me. I couldn't stay there. I grabbed my coat and slipped out into the rain, letting it soak through me as I wandered the streets. Her voice followed me, a relentless echo. "I think I'm falling for you, Ryan." Lauren's voice replayed in my head, captured by the recorder. "I think I'm falling for you, Ryan." The words nodded me, relentless and sharp, unraveling everything I thought I knew about us. I couldn't avoid this. I had to face her. My hand shook as I gripped the doorknob, the chill seeping into my bones. Stepping inside, the house was suffocatingly still, silence heavy with secrets. Lauren was in the kitchen, stirring soup, her back to me, unaware of the storm I'd brought in with me. I watched her for a heartbeat, the casual sweep of her hair, the way she moved with a familiarity I'd once found comforting. Now, it mocked me. This was my wife, but she felt like a stranger. "Lauren," I said, my voice rougher than I intended. She spun around, startled, then smiled softly. "You're back. I was worried you didn't answer my texts." I didn't return the smile. "We need to talk." Her expression wavered, uncertainty creeping in. "What's wrong?" I slid the recorder from my pocket and placed it on the counter between us. It sat there, small and unassuming, but it carried the weight of our unraveling life. Lauren's eyes flicked to it, then back to me, recognition tightening her features. "What's that?" she asked, her tone cautious, testing. "You know what it is," I said, holding her gaze. "I heard you. With Ryan." Her breath caught, and she stepped back, clutching the counter for support. "Nathan, Don't," I interrupted, sharper than I meant. "Don't lie. Not now." Tears glistened in her eyes, but she didn't break eye contact. "How much did you hear?" "Enough," I said, bitterness lacing the word. "I heard you say you're falling for him." That you wish things were different. She winced. I didn't mean for you to find out like this. Find out? A hollow laugh escaped me. So you were going to tell me? Or just keep slipping next door while I was gone? She shook her head, her voice trembling. It's not like that. I never wanted to hurt you. Then why? My anger surged, spilling over. Why him? Why there, where I could hear it? Tears streaked her cheeks as she struggled for words. I was lonely, Nathan. You're always working, always locked away. I felt like I didn't exist to you. Ryan, he saw me. He listened. I stared at her, the sting of her words warring with my own guilt. So it's my fault? Because I was trying to give us a future? No, she whispered, desperate. It's mine. I messed up, I know that. But I love you, Nathan. I don't want to lose us. Her plea lingered, fragile and raw. Part of me ached to believe her, to salvage what we had. But the other part, the one still hearing her laugh with Ryan, couldn't let go of the wound. Do you love him? I asked, my voice barely audible. She hesitated, and that silence cut deeper than any answer. I don't know, she said finally. I thought I did, but now. I'm lost. Her honesty hit like a blow. I turned away, unable to face her. I need time, I muttered. I can't do this right now. Nathan, please, she said, reaching for me. Let's figure this out together. I shrugged off her touch, the contact searing. I said I need time. I left her there, retreating upstairs to my office. The door clicked shut behind me, and I sank into my chair, the walls pressing in. This room had been my sanctuary, a place where I shaped sound, but now it echoed with the fracture of my marriage, and I had no idea how to mend it. Outside, the rain drummed against the window, a steady pulse matching the ache in my chest. Lauren's footsteps paused outside my door, then faded away. She didn't knock. Maybe she knew I wasn't ready. Maybe I never would be. I leaned back, staring at nothing, wondering how we'd fallen so far and if there was any path back. Lauren's presence lingered everywhere, in the memories of her humming in the kitchen, in the quiet moments we used to share. It was all distorted now, a melody I couldn't unhear but couldn't enjoy anymore. Lauren didn't give up. She left trays of food outside my door, pasta with marinara, my favorite, or a slice of pecan pie from that bakery we loved. Notes accompanied them, scrawled in her familiar handwriting, *I miss you. Can we talk? I'm still here. I'd read them, feel a pang in my chest, then crumple them into the trash. Her words sounded sincere, but they couldn't erase the image of her with Ryan, the neighbor who'd shattered my trust. Nights were the worst. Lying awake, I'd dissect our marriage in my mind. When had she started pulling away? Was it when her job demanded more of her, or when I buried myself in mine? Had I missed the signs, or had she hidden them too well? The questions looped endlessly, but no answers came. All I knew was the ache of anger, sadness, and a confusion that left me questioning everything I thought I understood about us. One afternoon, the walls of my office felt too close, the silence too loud. I grabbed my jacket and left, craving something, air, distance, anything to shake off the weight. I ended up at our old coffee shop, the one where Lauren and I used to spend lazy Sundays. The barista smiled as I approached. Usual, she asked. Yeah, I muttered, the routine a small comfort that stung all the same. While waiting, I noticed Tom, a college friend I hadn't seen in months, sitting in the corner. He waved me over, his grin wide and genuine. Nathan. Been a while. How's it going? I slid into the seat across from him, forcing a smile. Surviving. You? We chatted about nothing, his new gig, my latest audio projects, but I could tell he sensed something. Tom had always been perceptive. You look rough, he said, his tone shifting. What's up? I hesitated. Saying it out loud felt like handing over a piece of myself I wasn't ready to lose. But the dam broke anyway. Lauren cheated. With the guy next door. Tom's face fell, sympathy replacing surprise. Man, that's bad. I'm sorry. I shrugged, though it didn't ease the tightness in my chest. It is what it is. You two talked about it? Yeah. She's sorry, says she wants to fix it. I don't know if I can. He leaned back, considering. Do you still love her? The question stopped me cold. Did I? I loved the Lauren who'd laughed with me over bad movies, who'd rested her head on my shoulder during quiet nights. But this Lauren, the one who'd turned to someone else, I wasn't sure I knew her anymore. Maybe, I said finally. But trust? That's a different story. Tom nodded. Fair. My brother dealt with something like that. Took a lot time, therapy, honesty. They pulled through, though. If you both want it, there might be a path. His words stuck with me as I walked home, the cool air biting at my face. A path. Maybe. But wanting it and making it work were two different things. When I got back, Lauren was on the couch, a book in her lap. She looked up, her eyes cautious but hopeful. Hey, she said softly. Can we talk? I lingered in the doorway, torn between fleeing and facing her. With a sigh, I sat across from her, the space between us feeling like miles. I don't know how to start, she began, her voice shaky. I've messed up so badly, Nathan. I hate what I've done to you, to us. I just want you to know I'm sorry. Her vulnerability hit me, but the hurt didn't fade. Why, Lauren? Why him? She looked down, tears welling. I felt alone. You were always in your office, and I was here. Ryan was around, listening when I needed someone. It wasn't planned, it just happened. I should have stopped it. I should have talked to you. But you didn't, I said, my voice sharp. You chose him instead. I know, she whispered. And I'll never forgive myself. But I don't want to lose you. I'll do anything, counseling, whatever you need. Please, just, don't give up on me yet. Her words hung there, raw and pleading. I wanted to reach for her, to believe we could mend this. But the wound was still bleeding. I can't promise anything, I said. Not now. She nodded, brushing away tears. Okay. I'll wait. As long as it takes. We left it there, unresolved. I retreated to my office, but even work couldn't shield me anymore. My focus slipped, clients emailed about errors in my mixes, polite but pointed. I was falling apart, and I didn't know how to stop. Then, one night, an email changed everything. It was from Ryan. My pulse spiked as I opened it. Nathan. Asterisk, I know you hate me, and I deserve it. What happened was a mistake, I never meant to ruin things for you and Lauren. I'm moving out, giving you both space. I'm sorry for everything, asterisk. Ryan. Relief mixed with bitterness as I read it. He'd be gone, no more seeing his car next door, no more constant reminder. But it didn't undo the damage. It didn't fix us. I closed my laptop and sat back, exhaustion crashing over me. Ryan's exit was a shift, a chance to breathe. But it left me at a crossroads, fight for what Lauren and I had, or let it go. The answer wasn't clear, buried somewhere in the mess of my thoughts, and for now, I let the silence take over. I locked myself in my workroom for days, just me, my gear, and the hum of the monitors. I started digging through old audio voicemails from when we met, her voice all light and hopeful, clips from trips we took, her laugh mixing with wind or water. Those sounds used to mean everything to me, but now they felt hollow, like echoes from someone else's life. Then I pulled out the recordings I'd made over the past month, secret ones, her whispering to Ryan, spilling her love for him, her excuses piling up. Each file was a shard of what we'd been, and I was going to piece them together into something she couldn't ignore. I opened with her early voicemails, soft and sweet, over the rain from the night we first kissed. Then her wedding vows came in, strong and clear, the church's echo making them sound eternal. I faded into our recent fights, her voice turning cold, mine just tired. The big moment hit with her confessing to Ryan, her words soft but brutal, like she was twisting the knife herself. At the end, I added my voice, flat and final, "You betrayed me, Lauren. We're done." It was our story, love to wreckage, and I made sure every beat was perfect. But just playing it wasn't enough. I wanted her surrounded, drowning in it. So I rigged the house, speakers everywhere. One behind our photo in the living room, another under the kitchen counter where she'd hum, even one in the closet with our stuff. Each was set to a part of the mix, time to roll out like a wave. I wired it to start from my phone and locked the doors with an app, no way out once it began. I stuck a camera in the hallway to see her face when it hit her. I tested it endlessly, tweaking levels, syncing it up until it was airtight. When the day came, I was ready. My bags were packed, stashed in my car, my new place lined up. At 6:15 p.m., my phone pinged, she was home. I pulled up the feed and watched her walk in, key scratching the lock, looking worn out but clueless. I exhaled hard and hit play. It started in the living room, her picnic laugh, waves rolling in. She stopped dead, coat slipping off her arm, squinting like she could figure it out. In the kitchen, her vows kicked in, and I saw her eyes go wide, her bag hitting the floor. She bolted to the bedroom, our last fight blared, loud and ugly, and she clawed at the speaker, but it was too high. Then the hallway sealed it, her voice to Ryan, tender and damning, bouncing off the walls. She stumbled, grabbing at the door, but it wouldn't budge. She slammed the speaker, nothing. My voice came last, "This is the end." She crumpled, hands over her ears, but the sound kept coming. On the screen, I watched her shatter. The divorce papers sat on the kitchen table, waiting. I killed the feed, the screen went dark, and I got in my car. Driving off, the engine's rumble took over, drowning out the chaos I'd left. Revenge wasn't some big explosion, it was this, a quiet, perfect strike she'd hear forever. For me, it was closure. After that, a weird peace settled in. Building that mix, making her face it, it gave me back something I'd lost. She'd live with the echoes, but I was moving on, into a world where the only sound was mine. The days began to blend into a rhythm I hadn't known in years, a quiet, steady pulse of routine and possibility. My apartment, once a blank slate, started to take on life. The walls now held a few of my paintings, abstract swirls of blue and gold, colors that reminded me of the ocean and the sunsets I'd watched alone. A shelf by the window displayed books I'd finally had time to read, their spines creased from late-night chapters. It wasn't just a space anymore, it was a home. Work remained my anchor. My reputation as a sound engineer grew, and I landed a project with a local band, a group of 20-somethings with raw talent and big dreams. Their energy was infectious, and I found myself mentoring them, sharing tricks I'd learned over the years. One afternoon, as we tweaked a tricky bass line, their lead singer, Mia, grinned at me across the studio. "You're good at this, Nathan. Not just the tech stuff, the way you get us." I shrugged, brushing it off, but her words stuck with me. For so long, I defined myself by what I'd lost, by Lauren's betrayal, by the life we'd built together crumbling. Now, I was starting to see myself through a different lens, someone capable, someone who still had something to give. That night, I met up with an old friend, Jake, at a diner we used to haunt in our college days. Over greasy burgers and too strong coffee, he told me about his latest adventure, a road trip across the coast, and then paused, studying me. "You're different, man," he said. "Lighter, somehow." "Am I?" I asked, stirring my coffee absently. "Yeah. Like you're not carrying the world anymore." I thought about that as I drove home, the city lights streaking past my windshield. He was right. The weight of the past still lingered, but it didn't crush me like it used to. I'd learned to set it down, piece by piece. A few weeks later, I ran into Mia outside the studio. She was juggling a guitar case and a stack of lyric sheets, her dark hair falling into her eyes. "Need a hand?" I offered, catching a sheet before it hit the ground. "Thanks," she said, flashing that easy grin again. "Hey, we're playing a gig this weekend, small venue, nothing fancy. You should come." I hesitated. Social outings still felt like a test, a step into territory I wasn't sure I was ready for. But her enthusiasm was hard to resist. "Sure," I said. "I'll be there." The venue was a cramped bar with dim lighting and a stage barely big enough for the band. I stood near the back, nursing a beer, as they launched into their set. Mia's voice cut through the chatter, raw and soulful, and I couldn't help but tap my foot to the beat. When they finished, she hopped off the stage and made her way over, her face flushed with adrenaline. "So," she asked, breathless, "what's the verdict?" "You were great," I said, meaning it. "That last track, the one with the layered harmonies, it's got real potential." Her eyes lit up. "You think so?" "We've been tweaking it forever." "I could help you polish it," I offered, surprising myself. "If you want." "Seriously?" "That'd be amazing." She paused, then added, "You should come jam with us sometime." "You play, right?" I laughed, caught off guard. "I dabble. Guitar, mostly." "Dabble, huh?" "We'll see about that." The invitation lingered in my mind over the next few days. On a whim, I dusted off my guitar and joined their next rehearsal. My fingers were rusty at first, fumbling over chords I used to know by heart, but as the session went on, the music flowed. Mia's voice wove around my strums, and for a few hours, I lost myself in the sound. It wasn't about perfection, it was about connection, something I hadn't realized I'd been craving. Afterward, as we packed up, Mia lingered by the door. "You're full of surprises, Nathan," she said, her tone teasing but warm. "Same time next week?" "Yeah," I said, smiling. "I'd like that." Walking home under a sky dotted with stars, I felt a shift, a spark of something new. It wasn't love, not yet, and maybe it wouldn't be. But it was a beginning, a thread of possibility weaving into the tapestry of my life. I'd spent so long healing from the past that I'd forgotten what it felt like to look forward. Now, with each step, I could hear it, a faint, hopeful melody, growing louder every day.